Welcome to Craftsman Cafe. This is our Realtor Pro series. I'm here with Meg Pucino from Baird and Warner. And Meg, let's just start from the top. How long have you been in real estate?
I've been in the business since 2009.
Okay.
I got in it, I thought it was at the bottom of the market at the time, and it was not.
It's still really, I mean, there's still an impact from those days. Is there not? Or
It was really tough in the beginning because there wasn't anyone selling. People were being foreclosed upon, and there was just no business to be had, and it was a slow start. The way I looked at it is that I would be in position once the economy recovered.
Got it.
And once the real estate market recovered, that I would be right in position and ready to take off, which is essentially what happened for me.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
What led you to real estate? How did you decide to get into this line of business? What inspired you to do that?
Well, I've always been interested in the market. Both homes that I bought since I moved to Illinois were purchased without realtors involved, which is kind of funny. Just worked out that way. And I even had my next door neighbor, when she put her house on the market before I was a realtor, she said, "Will you sell my house for me?" And I said, "What?" She wanted my help.
Okay.
She didn't trust. She didn't have a real estate agent that she could trust or that she was comfortable with.
Okay.
I guided her through the process. That I said, I can't do that. And I've always been good at putting buyers and sellers together, even before I was an agent. And I've always had an interest in residential homes.
Okay, great. Well, I got a bunch of questions. Some of them came from some Facebook comments from an earlier post that I did. I asked people to give me some questions, so I have those questions. So let's start from the top. Zillow, I've been on there numerous times. From my perspective, when I look at Zillow, I think it's a pretty cool site, but I look at the data and I think the data can be murky, questionable. How should people use Zillow? What's your opinion about Zillow? How does it come into play? Does it come into play?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it used to come into play a lot, where people buyers would say, "No, the Zestimate is lower than that. I'm not paying that for that house." And it is cool, but it's my problem with it is that it's an algorithm. A Zestimate is an algorithm, and it's not based on the condition of the home. It's not based on the condition of the neighborhood. And it relies on the homeowners to update improvements and things.
Right.
And then it tweaks that algorithm. And the only truly accurate things that you see on Zillow are recent sale dollar amounts when a home is listed, what the value is, because it just goes based on the listed value.
What the sell price is, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it can be a problem for agents when they're fighting either a home seller who thinks their home is worth more than it is, or a buyer who thinks it's worth the Zestimate price when it's inaccurate.
Okay. So how do you, does that come up a lot?
It's just there.
It's just there, okay.
Yeah, sometimes it's an issue, sometimes it's not.
Are there other websites that usually come into play in the process? I'm curious about where are folks going to get information, because we live in this world of the internet now, right?
Yes.
I know what my car costs before I even walk in the door.
Right, you can do so much homework. And people say, "Oh, we don't need realtors anymore because the internet provides us all the information." It does, and it makes our jobs a little easier. But that personal element is huge, because you see pictures can be deceiving.
Yeah.
You can do a lot of research. And a home buyer or seller has to advocate for themselves, just like with anything. They say 98% of buyers start their search online. I believe it's 100%.
Yeah.
So the most important thing is accurate information, great photography, search engine optimization, those things.
Okay.
I have clients that are in the habit of using Redfin or Trulia, and I always yell at them because that information isn't as real time as the Baird and Warner app that they can have on their phone, or Realtor.com is a sponsored website from the multiple listing service through the National Realtor Association.
Okay.
So those to me, are the best sources.
So what's the information that people should be looking for on the internet prior to listing a house?
Prior to buying, it would be, click on the address and see where it's located. Are you interested in that area?
Yeah. Okay.
You can do neighborhood research. You can do school research. The more you can articulate what exactly you want or figure out what exactly you want, the better a realtor can help you quickly find the right home.
Okay.
And as far as selling, it's a little harder to pull research about closed listings in your area. So I think it's less of a tool in selling than it is in buying.
Okay, gotcha. That's.
But it is a source for some things.
Well, tell me a little bit about your practice. You do some relocation.
I just got Relo certified not long ago, and that just means that I can take referrals from our corporate.
Okay.
It's all the same, and there's additional paperwork for Relo. But I'm a sole practitioner. I do not have a team, and I do not have assistants. I mean, we have the resources here of our admins, and I'm not trying to grow into a huge service. I like a handful of clients that I can service on my own. I'm available 24/7. My phone's always on, and that's how I like to. I like to be very responsive because when a home buyer or seller is involved in the process, it's very stressful, and they want an answer right away. So that's kind of my business model, is to keep it local and keep my demographics what I want, so that I can give my best services to those people in the area.
That's great. So a sole practitioner as opposed to a team. Do you have any opinions? There's a kind of this, I don't know what the right word is, movement or trend in real estate where there seem to be a lot of teams and partnerships and things.
And every team seems to have a different model of how they work. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it obviously is successful. But as a buyer or seller, what you want to know from that team is who's going to be with me day to day and who's my contact.
Yeah.
And just make sure that's clear. I like to say that you're going to be only one of 10 people that I'm servicing, or however many it is at the time, and you're darn sure you're going to get my attention because it's a huge and important piece of business to me.
Right.
So you want to make sure that that would be the case of the contact person on your team, that they're going to be responsible and responsive.
Got it. Makes sense. A question that came up online was from a friend of mine, Patty Clark, and she asked about home staging. Mm-hmm. Is it needed in Libertyville? Is it needed for the average homeowner? And is there an incremental value to hiring a staging company as opposed to just the expertise that a realtor like yourself would bring? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, it's a good question, and it definitely is important to get your house looking good. Mm-hmm. Whether or not you need a stager it's got a lot to do with price point and what's going on in your house. One of the services
What's going on in your house?
I provide a stager service where if you list with me, I have actually a professional interior designer that I contract with. Okay. And I bring her out, and she, particularly at the photography point, because we use professional photographers for all our listings. Okay. And that's an important thing for a seller to clarify, is who's going to be taking the pictures. I don't want you with your nice camera. I want a professional photographer. Yeah. So I'll come out with my stager. In being an interior designer, she's got a real good eye. Take this picture off the wall. Let's move this couch over here. Right. That kind of thing. If it's a multi-million-dollar home and there's no furniture in it, it might be worthwhile to get a staging company to bring in all that furniture. Okay. If it's a $200,000 condo or a $400,000 house, that's not necessary. Okay. She comes with some props if necessary, or it's usually taking out things rather than putting in things. Yeah, I can imagine that would be the case. Yeah. A lot of clutter in homes these days. And it does make a difference. Buyers sometimes have a hard time visualizing their furniture in a home. So, what's your advice on painting? My advice on preparation for sale is that it's got to be clean more than anything. Okay. If the walls are dirty, or if they're a crazy color, paint them. Okay. If they're a semi-neutral color and they're clean, leave
Fine.
them.
Okay.
Cleanliness is the number one thing for me.
Do you find that if I were to sell my house, I know there's work to be done. There's always work to be done in a house, right? Mm-hmm. Do you find that a lot of people are willing to do that?
It's all about the price.
Yeah, okay.
If you don't want to put in the work on the house, price it that way.
Okay.
And sometimes doing $500 worth of work can increase your selling price by $1,000. It depends. People get freaked out by water stains. Even if it was somebody left the bathtub running and it's never happened since and it's 20 years old and
right.
they
There's
get
a ring
freaked
there.
out. They get freaked out. What's wrong? What's wrong with the plumbing? So I always advise certain kinds of, improvements that should be done are related to water intrusion or, that kind of thing. Mildew.
Got it.
But,
Is that a problem in this area?
Yeah.
It is?
It's a humid area.
Yeah. What are the other problems, generally speaking, that you see?
Mold in attics is a big thing.
Is it? Yeah.
Certain neighborhoods. But there's not any one issue.
Okay.
In Libertyville, people want a home that's new, even if it's 25 years old. So that's how you have to think about it.
What's your take on the market right now in Libertyville?
The inventory's low.
Okay.
So if you price your home right, you're going to probably sell it in a day, unless there's something, unless it's on the power lines or,
There are that many buyers?
There are a lot of buyers, right? Yeah, everyone wants to live in Libertyville now. The downtown's happening. People in Lake Forest are moving into Libertyville, and they're talking about how the market's dead in Lake Forest, just one town away.
I've heard that.
Yeah?
Well, it's a lot different. I mean, is it not?
The price points are different, but their property taxes are significantly lower. So it's,
okay. Gotcha.
Years ago, Lake Forest was where everybody wanted to live.
Yeah. So is it a buyer's? Does that make it a buyer's?
It's a seller's market right now, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, touchy subject, but I like to talk about it because I think it's on a lot of people's minds, is the value proposition for a realtor. I've heard people, I've read things, where realtors, frankly, I think, get a bad rap. It's why I wanted to do this series, is because I know the value of an advisor. A good advisor, be it legal, financial, anything, can make a world of difference, in my opinion. Now, just like any industry, there's good and there's bad.
Right.
There's talented and not so talented. But in your opinion, why do realtors get a bad rap, or taken the other way? What's the value proposition for a realtor?
I think they get a bad rap because there's a lot of them who are not great. And people remember that more than they remember the good ones.
Right.
And they talk about it more than they talk about the good ones.
Yeah.
If you have a good experience, you don't tell everyone.
Yeah.
But if you have a bad experience, you put it on Facebook, you tweet it.
Right.
I think the thing about what to look for in a good realtor is, when you sit down with them, do you like them? Do you enjoy their company? Do they make you comfortable? Do they give you confidence that they know what they're doing?
Right.
Just because they're saying yes to the price that you think your home should be doesn't mean they're going to be the best person to sell your home. And as a buyer's agent, do you feel comfortable in their selection? Are they listening to you? Are they sending you listings that meet the criteria that you've given them? It's all about trust. And do you like them? We all feed off the same data through the MLS. We all do our market analyses based on the same data. We all find buyers' choices, listings on the same data. Does that person go above and beyond by networking before homes are on the market? I've done a lot of pre-market deals just by talking to people, networking with my office. We have a great network system, and we have great agents in our office. And that's the kind of thing you look for. There are definite values to working with a realtor. versus doing the deal on your own.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen it happen.
Yeah. When you talk about networking, one of the other questions from a friend of mine, Mundo, in the world of social media and apps, what are the most innovative, effective apps? What are the apps that you use? What are the tools? What are the best tools out there now?
There are some cool tools and apps that I don't go crazy with every modern new technology, but what have found has had good responses. I had this really great listing, and I did a Facebook Live with it, which saves the video, and then I broadcast the video before there was an open house. And we had like a record number of attendees at that open house.
Really? That's great.
Yeah. So a lot, you can tell so much about a listing to try to spread the word. And I do boosted posts, so I target markets that I think would be interested in that particular home. And I'll tweet a little bit.
Okay.
So I use Instagram too.
Okay.
And Facebook paid boosts on my real estate page.
Have you found one that works more effectively than others, or have you dug into it that much?
I haven't.
Okay.
There are lots of fatty kind of internet marketing things, but I just do what works for me and to keep it in my sphere.
Right.
So this last open house was kind of a social experiment for me.
I saw that video.
I had an agent sitting the listing who's a new agent, so she went crazy on her Facebook page, and then I also promoted it, boosted it, and we got a lot of people in there.
Yeah.
And we just got an offer. That was Sunday. We just got an offer yesterday. I don't know yet if that woman had seen it.
Okay.
On Sunday or not.
Yeah, you got to ask her.
Yeah, well, I'm going to. I haven't talked to her yet.
How do you? I'm sure you do that. Where are people moving? Is there like, they're all coming from Chicago, or they're coming from everywhere? I mean, where are people coming from that are moving to Libertyville? You
the
mentioned
ones
Lake
that
Forest.
This one buyer was from Lake Forest, and I've got one that's coming in from Mundelein, and we've had one that made an offer on one of my listings from Chicago. So they're coming from all over.
Okay.
A lot of people, I'm noticing, like young families where they grew up here, left, and now are starting families and moving back.
It's cool again.
It is cool. It's very cool. It's a great town.
That's great. It is. So you're at Baird and Warner, obviously. That's where we're sitting today. What makes this office special?
We have a great office. This is the second brokerage I've worked for, so I have something to compare to. And my previous office, they were great. My managing broker was very helpful. I loved him, actually. He trained me, Jack Sanderson at Berkshire Hathaway. But it just wasn't a fit for me. And I met Steve Lawrence, who's our managing broker here, and he made an offer I couldn't resist. And I actually love the office, the model. Our marketing person is right here in the office, Maria Laubenstein. She is so knowledgeable on all our resources.
Okay.
We have lots of resources inside that we use behind the scenes to market a home. And she is always available to help us with those things. And all the agents in this office are, instead of being a little paranoid and protective of their business, which is understandable in straight commission business, they're all very supportive and helpful. And it's a great support system, and I know I can always put a shout out if I need someone to show a home or cover an open house, that there's going to be someone willing to help.
That's great.
And we also try to pre-market. We also try to really talk up what needs for a buyer or listings that are going to come on amongst ourselves, but also they'll even say, hey, somebody from or somebody from Century 21 mentioned they'd have a buyer that might work. We're very collaborative, and that's a really great thing.
So that's an interesting thing you said about Century 21 and So as local offices, would you say there's a lot of collaboration between everybody? I mean, is there
certain agents? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
From a
every
consumer
transaction you do, you're working with another realtor on the other end, unless you do dual agency. there's always going to be somebody else on the other side of the deal that you have to work with. So you don't want to make a lot of enemies in the business.
Right.
You know?
Well, you have the advantage of talking to them about what's going on in your world, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And also Baird and Warner has put a lot of money behind internet marketing, search engine optimization, our presence in the internet, the website, the app. And it's a local company. We're huge in Chicagoland.
Right.
And we have affiliations with Leading RE Worldwide, which is a great luxury property marketing network.
Okay.
But because our ownership is local, I mean, he popped in our office last week, unexpected, came to our sales meeting. They're very in touch with the market, and they really support us financially. They're great. Corporate offices in the city are very cool.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was good talking to you.
Talking shop with us. So I appreciate that very much, Meg. So
thanks, Jim.
That's a wrap. George?